Okay, I got a bit angry in that video, and I needed to do it a bit more better with a bit more details as to what I'm saying. There's this whole thing about you can't pray on Temple Mount, and you can't pray to God. How can Muslims, or how can any Muslim claim that they are serving God or helping God if they won't allow people to preach to God on Temple Mount? Like, I know that they would say that it's because they serve a different God. So if they serve a different God, why would you not acknowledge that they have chosen something that's different to you, but maybe there's a reason for it? I acknowledge that people have chosen Islam, and I acknowledge that Allah and God are not the same thing. They are very different things, and I'm reminded by this because I respect people's religions. Islam believe that Jewish God and the Christian God are different gods, and I believe that too, because by them believing that they are different gods, they have basically proven to me that they are different gods, and they are because they have different beliefs, different principles, different Sharia law is very different to English laws and to British laws and stuff, and by them having laws that say we can control you, we can stop you from doing things, we can have power over you. This is not what I'm for. I'm completely against all this sort of power. I think there's freedom of choice. I believe that Jesus is a test, and I believe Muhammad is a test. And in the same way that I don't like Jesus, I don't think he's God, I know he's not God, and I hate people preaching to him, I know that people need to preach to him because I want to kind of test them, because that is part of Jesus's purpose. Jesus is a test. Do you believe that he's God? Why do you think he's God? If you just think that he's a savior because he is trying to lead people away from Islam or things like this, that's probably his real purpose, even though Islam came later. But he was leading people away from Islamic preachers, Islamic beliefs. Islam took all the things in Christianity that's in the Old Testament, kind of emphasized on it, created it, and made it gave more power to it by saying that Muhammad believes all these things are the truth, when really I don't think they are. And I don't support Jesus because he too backed up this claim that the world was made in 6 days, and he too backed up all the Old Testament stuff. He just made it a couple of changes, which is that there's God is come down in human form, although I don't think he actually said that. Hence there's a big sort of debate over who Jesus actually is. Is he the Son of God, or is he the God? Because you can't be the same thing. You can't be God and the Son of God at the same time. That's not possible, because the whole point of being the son of something is that you are less than, or you came after the original, and therefore you can't be the original if you are the son of the, I am God. I am not the son of myself. I'm not the daughter of myself. I am myself in human form, one that has no memory of my higher self. But yeah, the whole praying thing, the Muslims are not, and non-Muslims are not allowed to pray on Temple Mount. I don't give a shit, because I know that the Jewish people are not serving me. They don't know about me, and I know the Jesus people do not serve me and do not. And therefore I don't care about what they say or what they preach, but I know that it's not me. But at the same time, the fact that Muslims are saying that we can pray to our God, we can pray to our interpretation of what God is, but you can't do that. This is them disrespecting other people's religion. This is them saying that we don't care about your views, your opinions. And if God is real, and if God has created Christianity as a test, then how can I test people if they're not allowed to do it? I hate Islam, and I want to destroy it, because I think that it's an attraction for demons and people that have sick ways, sick beliefs, people who think that women are stupid and should just shut up or shouldn't be educated and just pop out as many babies as they can so they can try and breed and fill the world with all these Islamic people that just kind of, they look awful. I hate their clothing. I hate the whole veils and just it's madness. I see it as absolute madness, and I'm enraged by it. Now, if you had the real spirit of God in you, you should feel this rage towards it, and you would feel that this war is coming. For 12 years I've been promoting that I'm God, and for 12 years everyone is ignoring me except for the songs that I seem to be having conversations with. So I know some people are hearing me, but it's just the number of people that are actually connecting to me is so few. And then to think that there are people that are still can't even say it properly, sympathizing with Islamic people and saying that, oh, they're not bad people. It's like, well, yeah, most of them think that that you shouldn't, if you're a Christian or a Jew, you shouldn't be allowed to pray on Temple Mount. So why are the Jewish people and the Christian people saying, right, if that's what you're going to do to us, why shouldn't we do the same to you? You know, how many Muslims in England are there who think that Christians should not pray on Temple Mount? Because if they say yes, if like 30%, I don't know the statistics, I'm just guessing, if 30% of Muslims in England think that English people or British people or Jewish people should not pray on Temple Mount, then why can't we just say, right, well, this is our land, England is our land, we are not Muslims, and we are going to implement the same beliefs on you that you want to impose on us when it comes to this Temple Mount thing. You know, I see everything as a test, and I think this Temple Mount thing is a test, and I respect that it has been controlled by Islamic people, and I feel that it's been done as part of the test, and I would love to test how this, if there's a test coming, you know, I think this is one of a question that just sounds harmless. Do you think that Christians should be allowed to pray on Temple Mount? You know, anyone who ticks no to that is, unless of course they shouldn't do it because they know that they're going to get hurt. You know, I wouldn't encourage people to do it. Why? Because I think they're going to get stabbed. You know, this guy that I've just watched pray, and then a person came up to him. You know, I was concerned that this guy is just going to get stabbed, so I would tell him not to do that because he's probably going to get killed. So if I don't think he should do it, I think it's for that reason. But if you're someone who genuinely thinks that it should be illegal for Christians, and so you have to ask the question right. You know, you don't just say, do you think they should, do you think Christians and Muslims should pray on Temple Mount? Because you're going to get yes and no answers, and just because you've said no, that doesn't mean that you've said that for the right reasons. You know, if you say no because they're going to get hurt, then that's an okay answer. But if you're saying no because it's Islamic land and they need to respect the people that control it, you know, if that's what they say, then I think all these people should have the same beliefs inflicted or put on them. You know, why are you in England? Because it's not a Muslim land, so why should you be allowed to pray to Allah if you don't think that I should go to the Temple Mount and pray to whatever God that I believe in? You know, if God is real, then God is God of everyone, and people should be allowed to, you know, vote for whatever God they want. Now, okay, maybe they have worshipped the wrong God. I don't think Jesus is God. I don't think the God is Christ is Jewish, and so I think they are both worshipping false gods. But at the same time, I wouldn't stop them from doing this, because if it's part of the test, how am I supposed to know who serves what if they're not allowed to serve what? So Islam seems to even be in favor of banning this test. No test. You're not allowed to be Christian. You're not allowed to be Jewish. You must be Islam. I think by believing in Islam, you have failed the test, basically, 100%. That God has created all these religions as part of a test, and Islam is the one that everyone fails, no matter if you're good or bad. You know, if you are an Islamic person and you've chosen Islam, you know, you've ignored the fact that women are oppressed. You've ignored the fact that many women are beaten up. You've ignored the fact that they marry cousins because they think it's good, even though it actually creates a higher rate in birth defects. You've ignored the fact that they marry children. You've ignored the fact that the spirit comes from God, and that's my spirit, and that I hate this religion. So you can't hear the spirit at all, because I'm angry at this religion. I'm angry at the people that think that they can control others, and that if you don't do everything that they say, you are insulting them, when really you're the ones that are insulting them, because you are telling them not to do something, even though they're actually just claiming to worship God. I mean, if they are claiming to worship God and you say you serve God, then surely you are all worshipping the same thing, just different beliefs or different aspects of it. And Islam has no tolerance to any of this. It has no tolerance to other religions, because it is basically just a religion of things that I am against. And I'm against people who don't even allow others to take the test. Now, if you're not allowing people to take the test, you know, I want to know, if I came up and said that I was Christ, do you believe me? Do you still prefer Jesus? Would you prefer AJ Miller? Would you prefer Hindu or Buddhism? Or do you think that Buddha was more intelligent than me, even though you have no clue who he is and he died a long time ago? I want a test to go out in the world, but it seems to me that Islamic people don't even want this test. It's Muslim or nothing. And therefore, they're against everything they're for everything that I'm against. And I feel like they are even against the idea of allowing people to be tested, allowing people to make their own choices. It is Islam or nothing. And I think I'm against this. I'm really against this. And I don't understand why we are not finding out who these people are who think this way. I know that there are some good Muslims, but they are just people that have blinded themselves from all the terrible things that go on in these Muslim countries. And okay, yeah, brainwashing is part of the problem, but you will see that if there are people who are abused by their parents, they will highly likely, they're much at a higher risk of abusing their kids as part of this, it happened to me, so it's going to happen to them. It will teach them a lesson. It will make them stronger. It will make them wiser. Whatever reason they thought that it happened to them and made them a better person, they might use these same excuses to inflict on others. And when it comes to Islam, I'm so against it. And it's amazing how these people are just completely inverted. And I cannot support almost anything. Even that genuine. There was a Muslim who was an imam, and I see him as a blind Muslim, who was saying that it's good being a Muslim means serving. Serving who? Who are you serving? You have to know who you're serving, because if you're serving a monster, or if you're serving the devil, or if you're serving Satan, then surely it's not just about serving. It's about testing people to see who it is that they are serving. Because if you are serving a devil, then why should I help you? Why should I be on your side? And therefore, just to serve is not good enough. You need to know who you're serving. And if the country is allowing all these Muslims on the belief that they're all good people, when really there are plenty of people who think that you should be killed for praying on a Temple Mount, it's a disrespect to our religion. Well, why is it a disrespect? If all they're doing is praying to something called God, and that you think that's an insult to you, then why do you think it's an insult to you? Because if they really are, if you're wrong and it turns out they're right, then actually you are just serving the devil. You are serving evil. You are serving crimes, or the idea of committing crimes on people who might actually be serving the right God, the true God. And I think Islam just closes itself off. We are right. They are wrong. No other tolerance, no other view. This is the truth. You are disrespecting us if you do not dress like us, if you do not look like us, if you do not think like us. And this closed-minded view is disgusting, and I hate it coming here. I hate how there's people that are just like, oh no, that's just their view. I don't want to be judgmental. I don't want to be criticized, and I'm not going to be disrespectful. You're doing the right thing. You're being how you should be, but they're not being how they should be, because they are not doing the same thing back. And if you are going to serve people, you need to know who you're serving, why you're serving them, and how they think. And then you need to start thinking like them, and thinking that if they think it's fine for you to be killed for doing something that's completely harmless, then you too should think that I think it's fine for me to kill them for doing something which is harmless, which is just believing something wrong. That's not something that's harmless. Believing something is wrong is the reason why people get harmed. So it's not harmless to believe that it's fine to kill harmless people. No, this is not okay. This is not the same thing. And I wish people would wake up to how disgusting the religion is, and how much my spirit is not in favor in that religion. And I understand that there are leaders who might have been genuine, supporters of Islam, but I feel like I'm hoping that they are waking up and they are realizing that they need to convert, and they need to realize that they can't just... That's what some of them said, actually. There was a video I said where Iran tried to, there was some point where people tried to convert people and modernize them. Iran was converting too fast, too modern. In the 70s, people, it was like a Western world almost. And I think too many people were unsure about whether this change was good. The use of sexuality and stuff. I think there was a lot of people that were uncertain if it was good or bad. And this actually allowed Islam to come in, because Islam came in and said, no, this isn't right. And too many people believed it. Too many people thought, you know what, let's respect their views, let's respect their opinion. And it was because of that they fell. And I think I've heard that the Saudi Arabia and AUE, something like that, and the the Dubai, their leaders are wanting to change and are wanting to get away from Islam, but they realize that it's best to do it in small steps, small stages, not to get too far away, because if they do start getting too far away, people are going to rebel, and they might start doing what they did in Iran, which was supporting the Islamic regime, even though this Islamic regime was actually going to come, kill, conquer, and impress people. I think if people are brainwashed into believing that being sexual is a bad thing, then getting them out of this is actually quite hard. And I think unless you actually say, you know what, this is God, this is the proof on what is right and what is wrong, because this is our maker, this is the person who made us, and we have been made to be sexual because women are better at controlling men if we are sexual, and we can get them to stop from if all this thing is, though, I don't know if we actually want war to stop right now, because the number of people on the planet is so high. If plastic and all the petrol and the stuff that we're manufacturing, if this wasn't such a big thing, and it's going to be a big thing because everyone wants fridges and everyone wants items and cars and travel, everyone wants nice possessions, nice houses, but this all takes a big toll on the world. Now if everyone was poor and didn't have any of this resources, then the world probably could house loads and loads of people. It's like bunny rabbits, the world could house billions of if all humans died and everyone turned into a bunny rabbit, the world could have a huge more number of souls living here. But unfortunately, that's not how it is when things like plastic and nice houses and stuff are being invented. You need to reduce the number of population. So on one hand, I don't want war, but on the other hand, it needs to happen because there are too many people here. It's gotten out of control, and Islam being everything against me, they can't feel that, they can't sense that. So having lots and lots of babies, which is what I hate most, is what they're going to do in favor, because they're inverted. And you can't just keep saying, they have a right to their own views because God is here. I've been saying what my views are, and I've been saying what I'm most against. And now that you know that God is here and that God doesn't agree with this, it's different. You cannot see this as the same thing, because you can recognize that these people do not have the Spirit of God in them, but rather they're following inversion. And, what will happen, but I want the test, and Islam is the test, unfortunately. By accepting it, you have accepted ignorance or allowed yourself to be brainwashed into lies and deceptions. I know that there needs to be some good Muslims, because otherwise everyone in the world would know that Islam was bad, and people shouldn't be afraid to be Islamic. Likewise, you shouldn't be afraid to be a Jesus supporter. I'm in favor of people promoting Jesus, just because I know that he's about to go to heaven with lots of his people. You just need to, have a bullet in the head and have maybe some wires or something near your brain so that your soul goes through the wires and into the computer or something like that. It's all for show. I don't care. Some war is coming. I want smart people to survive, and smart people are not people who would choose Jesus over me. They would be people who would see the truth and be like, wow, we finally get to know who God is, and thing is, yeah, Islam is a test, but it's for the ones who failed. And yeah, I don't understand why TYT is supporting them so much, but I feel like they need to. When I expose myself, I am going to be against Islam, and I am going to subtly tell people that, I don't agree with the burqa, and I don't agree with, forcing people to believe in what you believe just because you know for certain that you're right, because maybe you're wrong. I'm going to be polite about it. I want maybe some pictures with this Anna from Young Turks, and maybe have some sort of interview where I lie and just be like, yeah, we need to save all people and stop the war. And I don't know. I think if I were to have an interview with Anna, I'd probably act like a blonde bimbo throughout all of it. In fact, I might even deliberately wear like very cute pigtails, or like not pigtails, but something like pink. I would definitely wear pink and try and pretend like I'm okay with this. But yeah, I would have a far better conversation with Tony Robinson. And yeah, I that's just how it is.